just have a brief report I'd like to make this evening, and I'm sending a little flyer or brochure your way. I want to talk just for a few minutes about our school's accreditation process that we use. So I'm sending around a nice brochure specifically for board members about the accreditation process that we're involved in Chippewa Valley. And I'll just direct your attention to a few places in this brochure. Our schools are accredited through the North Central Association, and recently they've gone through a change, and they and another association which does the same thing joined with a third organization called Advanced Education. So now sometimes it goes Advanced Ed/NCA. Our schools have had a history with NCA since 1965, which was the year that Chippewa Valley High School first became accredited. I believe Dakota was 1996. Most of the rest of our schools, nearly all, became accredited through NCA in 2001. And that was the year we decided to use that model of school improvement for all our buildings in the district. Shawnee was the last building accredited in 2003, and because Sequoia is so new, they're considered accredited due to participating in the process, but they haven't been given a year yet because they have not received a visit. Now, as you know, accreditation is just going through a voluntary process by which you are judged to certain standards, and then NCA says whether or not you've met those standards. If you look over to the right of the brochure on schools earning accreditation, and there's three things listed there that schools must do to become accredited. And they are meet the Advanced Ed standards, that's number one. And they list 7 standards that schools must meet, which are having a clear vision and purpose, effective and responsive leadership, have a rigorous curriculum taught through sound research-based methods, 4, collect, report, and use performance results, 5, provide adequate resources and support for its educational programs, 6, value and communicate with stakeholders, and 7, have a commitment to continuously improve. Those are the standards that schools are held to in order to become accredited. Now, if you look down to the third bullet item, they talk about quality assurance through internal and external review. Internal review means that annually schools complete what is called a self-assessment, abbreviated SA. And that's a document that you go through and you judge yourself. You say, we're doing this well, we're not doing this so well, and there's a rubric you use to make your judgment. And that's not only submitted to NCA, that's submitted to the state of Michigan. Then also, on the 5th year, you do what's called a Standards Assessment Review, or an SAR. And that's where you take that same document, but at the end of each section, you're given more narrative questions which you must respond to. So you not only have the little check off where you judge yourself, you then write a narrative about each section and they ask you the questions. That is submitted to NCA, and you subsequently receive what is called the QAR, which is the Quality Assurance Review. And that really is the most beneficial part of the NCA process, because on every 5th year, a team of educators from outside your district come to your school and pay your school a visit and go over your standards assessment review with you, or report, standards assessment report, and then also look at the data you've collected to show that you've met those standards. So the process that we follow in our school district is different than the state model, and I think we would say it's more rigorous, because not only do you fill out these reports, but you have people that come into your school, judge you on how well you're holding to the standards, and then they submit a report to NCA, and then that goes to Advanced Ed, and then it's determined whether or not you receive accreditation. So that's the process we use. We're on I guess you could say a 3-year cycle. We have 18 buildings that are in this process. And starting next year, we have 6 schools which will do the standards assessment report and receive a visit from educators outside our district. So we do 6 schools next year, 2009, 2010, 6 in the following year, and 6 in the following year after that. Then we have 1 year off in visits. In here, they talk about your role, so it might be something you want to look over. Also, in one visit that I was on, of which Sue Greener is a certified chairperson, and she heads teams that go to other districts. And I had the pleasure of serving with a team she took to a school in Clawson. They interview school board members, and they talk to school board members. They ask them to come to school. The team that visits the school asks school board members to come to the school, and they talk to school board members about what they think is going on in that school and how well they might or might not meet standards. So maybe next year, if you have some time, we'll let you know. Maybe you can be involved in the process and represent the Board of Education at a quality assurance review. So I leave you this to look over, and we're proud of this in our district. We went through a process last year by which we looked at what we were doing for school improvement and with the purpose of deciding whether we wanted to continue to be an NCA district, and at that time we chose to do that, and I'm very happy with that decision, and I think it helps our building. So there's something for you to read. After you read it, if you have any questions, just ask. If you have any right now, you can ask them. That's kind of quick, though. I don't expect you to come with a question that quickly.
I have one question. I don't know if you know the answer offhand. Sorry if you don't. How much does NCA, like to maintain NCA, I mean, I know there's a cost just like in the workforce for ISO 9001 or any kind of quality programs that we establish in industry manufacturing. How much do we spend a year on keeping our schools accredited?
For fees we send to NCA, we spend approximately $12,000 per year.
For all our schools?
Yes, district-wide. There are other costs which could be a part of, I guess you could call them, they are direct costs. They're not fees, but there might be some built-in cost to having other schools come out to your school. You may have to, if they were coming from a long distance, you may put them in a hotel, which in our experience so far we have not done that. NCA asks that if these people are spending 2 days in your school, that you buy them a little lunch. So you might do that. So those are some costs that are involved with NCA. If you're going with the state model, there are no costs, but you receive virtually no support from the state either. NCA actually has people. I look at it as you're going to have people at your house. Things are going to be ready, and that's what this process does for schools. It really forces staffs and administrators to be ready to have people in your home who are going to judge how well you're doing your job. And I think that's a valuable process for schools. The report that we wrote last year as a team, I thought was very valuable to that school. You make commendations to schools, and then you make recommendations. And you are required within 2 years after receiving that report to act upon those recommendations. So those are things that would not happen in a state model. So you pay a little bit, but so far our experience is it's a good investment.
I'd just like to add that the pamphlet doesn't show the amount of work that really goes into this process. That has to be evaluated. It's a tremendous amount of work. And also, accreditation is required for your students if they want to go on to higher learning. University says, I want to know if your schools are accredited.
But I think, I was on the school board when the board set a goal to have all of our schools NCA accredited, which you don't have to, that's not required. So when you said high schools, colleges look at that, if you're not accredited. That's what makes it sound.
It makes it sound easy, but it's not a lot of work.
All schools have NCA chairs who coordinate the efforts in their building, and in most cases it is a concerted effort on all staff members. And schools set goals. It's a kind of a cyclical process where you look at where you are, decide where you want to be, you set goals, and then you look at your data that you've collected to see if you've improved. So it is a lot of work.
And the staff donates volunteers their time.
Yeah, that's right.
They volunteer all the time, staff.
Right. that's kind of what I was
a
saying.
little appreciation to our staff for the effort that they